Yo, peace, everybody. How you doing out there in the internet world? This is Coach Terry. This is the Coach's Corner on Konnected TV. Welcome back. This is episode number 2. That's right, number 2, the episode after the first one, the sequel to the first. All right. Hope you enjoyed episode 1. This should be even more entertaining for you. Changed up the format a little bit, added some things to it based on some viewer requests, some feedback that I got. Coach is always listening. You know, I wouldn't be a good coach if I couldn't take feedback and criticism to improve my game as well as I do that to my players. So again, I'm always listening. Please continue to share your feedback. Continue to share your thoughts with me because I want to grow this thing and make it pop. You understand what I'm saying? So again, this is the Coach's Corner on Konnected TV. Hopefully you have watched it on your Fire TV, on your Roku TV. Go ahead and install that Konnected TV app, Konnected TV app on Fire TV, on Roku. Guess what? It's also on YouTube for you. It's on the Konnected TV YouTube page. It's also on my YouTube page at Coach Terry 803. But you already know that because you already follow me. I'm pretty sure you have. Again, I would like to welcome you back. I really do appreciate all the patronage, all of the keep saying feedback, but I really do appreciate everything that you have to say about the show, whether it's good or whether it's bad. This is the Coach's Corner. This is the intersection of special interest, sports, and social commentary. What am I here to do? I'm here to provide rational thoughts in the irrational world. I'm leaning neither left nor right, trying to walk it straight down the middle to help you solve this riddle called life. So we're back like we never left. I want to tell you about something that is new, and this is going to be something that is going to help you interact more with the show, because as you can see, it's just myself up here talking. We'll have some interviews and guests and things like that down the line, but again, you can watch your favorite entertainer bring on people that you like and respect and know in their respective industries and get interviews and things like that. I wanted the Coach's Corner to be something a little bit different from that. So we will have some guests and people to speak and things like that later on down the line. But for now, it's just me, so deal with it. All right, but I'm going to try my best to edutain. You get that? Educate and entertain, put them together, edutain. All my KRS-One BDP fans already understand that term. But there's an email. If you want to do a bunch of different things, you can send me beats. If you want me to play as we come into the song in and out of segments. If you're a producer, you looking to get your beats heard, send me some beats. Let me hear them. If I like them, I'll put them. I'll give you the credit for it. If you have a clothing brand, you want me to shout you out, send me some gear, please. I wear extra large and shirts, hats, anything like that. This week, I am rocking official gear. This is official. My birthplace, 716. That's Buffalo, New York. Dope t-shirt. Got the 716 and Roman numerals on the sleeve. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not flexing. I'm just trying to show you how, how a show work on the sleeve. But it is a dope t-shirt, man. Shout out to the creator, man, G-Sin. He is from Buffalo. The Buffalo cat doing his thing. He got the gear. He got t-shirts, hoodies, girl stuff, everything you need. And, I'm sending a shout out to my alma mater, the UB Bulls, University of Buffalo Bulls. That's where I got my undergraduate degree. So, again, shout out to everybody that wants to be a part of the show, and that's how you can be. KKONKTV@gmail. Basically, it's Coach's Corner on Konnected TV at Gmail. Once again, follow along right here. KKONTV@gmail.com. When I get my email out, sometimes I don't even say the .com because you should kind of already know that. I mean, this is 2023. If you don't know that there's a .com at the end of the email, then you need more help than me telling you .com or not can offer. But that's another topic for another day. We have some very, very good topics that I'm going to introduce to you today. Go ahead and get started off very shortly. So sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and rock along with me. Instrumental by B-Rhans. That beat's funky right there. It's funky. I'm old school. Again, I hate to be that old guy in the room. This beat just, it takes me back to that boom bap era. For you youngsters who don't know what the boom bap era was, it was roughly the mid 80s. You could somebody stretch it all the way through the 80s. I'm gonna say mid 80s through probably around 99, maybe 98ish. Things start going a little more up tempo, but the boom bap era was that 1, 2, boom, with the hi hat, boom, 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 boom. That boom bap. It's just, man, it just you got to make the ugly face when you hear that beat. So shout out to B-Rhans of Suey Productions on the beat. Again, if you would like to send a beat, let me rock out. Send it to KKONTV@gmail.com. All right, topic number 1. Let me set my Bills mug down because the Bills, Stephon Diggs, he's wilding right now. But we set that down. We'll talk about that as we get closer to the NFL season. We're going to talk about right now the NBA draft. So we just had the draft a couple of weeks ago, and it's interesting for a few reasons. Obviously, everybody wants to talk about Wemby, the number 1 pick in the draft, who is, they were calling him a unicorn, but my thing is you can't call every unique player a unicorn because then that doesn't make it unique anymore. But again, that's just, I'm a literal cat. Like, I take words literally a lot of times, and so anyway, Wemby, that's what they call him, Victor Wembanyama. So if you don't know, if you're not like a NBA fan or you don't really keep up with that kind of thing, let me give you a quick little recap on Wemby. He's from France. He's 19. He's 7'5". At first, he was 7'3" when we first started hearing about him playing over in France. At 18, he's now 7'5". He's got an 8'2" wingspan. So when you see the guy, he's all arms and legs. It's crazy. You thought Durant was long and lanky. I mean, you see Wemby, it's like, oh my gosh, he's Durant, but like stretched out even more. So it's crazy. He's got guard-like skills. He can put it on the floor. He can cross you over. He's got this crazy one-legged step back. Kind of remind you of Dirk Nowitzki mixed with KD because he's also got a very high release on his shot like KD, but he fades away a lot like Dirk. My thing is a lot of the European players tend to fade away. That's how they're taught to play basketball. They avoid the physical contact. So I think that's why he tends to fade away a lot on his jump shots. People are really enamored with his skills, especially defensively. He can be a very good rim protector. He runs the floor very well in transition like a wing player. Obviously at 7'5", he's got tremendous jumping ability. He uses it very well defensively. I saw one time where he recovered on the pick and roll, and he was late, but because of his tremendous length, because he was able to recover, and he's got an 8'2" wingspan, he made up the ground, and he actually blocked the jump shot, which was pretty amazing feat if you understand what basketball is. So there's Wemby. He's going to make a big difference last time. Here's the thing I think about Wemby. I think that I won't say it's unfair pressure, because that's just what it is when you step into that spotlight as a professional athlete, as a number 1 draft pick in any sport. There's always going to be pressure. They're saying that you're the best of the best of the best. I could have chose anybody, but we chose you. Last time the Spurs had the number 1 pick, it was this guy from the Virgin Islands. His name was Tim Duncan. I think we all know how that worked out. 5 championships later. 20 years of one franchise, top 12, 13 player all time, the great Tim Duncan. Shout out. Then they had the number 1 pick some years before that, guy by the name of David Robinson. They called him the Admiral from the Naval Academy. Another all-time great, won the same number of championships. Actually, no, he didn't because he retired, but he won the first few championships with the Spurs. He actually was a cornerstone, led the league in scoring one year. David Admiral Robinson was a phenomenal basketball player. They don't talk about him enough. He was very quiet, kind of a mild-mannered guy, didn't do a lot of commercials, things like that, but his game was, I guess you could consider him a stretch 5 because he could step back and he could shoot it. He could put it on the floor. He could do a lot of different things. So they're comparing Wemby to Tim Duncan and David Robinson, which is putting some unfair pressure on him. But when you're the number 1 pick, that's just what it is. We talked about it in episode 1 with the John Moran situation. To whom much is given, much is required. You want the bag, you want to be number 1, I hope your shoulders are wide enough to carry all the expectations and the weight that it comes with. Also want to talk about another cool story in the draft. The number 4 and number 5 picks, the Thompson twins. Yes, they are twins. That is so dope for that family that your twin boys, Amen and Asar, were drafted number 4 and number 5. That's never been done before. Obviously, there have been twins, brothers in the league, and identical twins. These guys went 4 and 5 in the draft. And I just wanted to give them a shout out. I also think it's cool that they played at Overtime Elite. They didn't take the traditional go to college route, and they paved their own path, and it worked out for them. I also heard that they played with a grassroots team, AAU coming up, and they did transfer high schools to try to get a little bit more exposure. But I'm glad it paid off, man. That's awesome for that family, man. Shout out to the Thompson family. Y'all stood up and shined bright that night. Big ups to y'all. And the last thing I want to talk about with the draft is this impact of South Carolina high school basketball on the latest draft. So there were 5 kids. I'm sorry, I don't mean to call you guys kids, but I'm in my 40s, so you know, a lot of these guys, I watched them grow up. So there's 5 young men, let me say that. There were 5 young men from South Carolina who were selected in the NBA draft. And there was one who was signed immediately after the draft was over because that team just didn't have another pick. But we'll go ahead and just go in order. It's not to be no bias, and you'll see why I say that in just a moment. But we had at number 21, Noah Clowney, young man from Spartanburg, went to Dorman High School, went to Alabama. Brooklyn took him at the 21st pick. I saw Noah Clowney personally. The high school I was coaching at Ridgeview, we played against him in the playoffs, and they knocked us out of the playoffs. Noah Clowney, very athletic defender, bouncy, can get up and down the floor. Is good pick for Brooklyn. That's going to be huge. And he's joining another South Carolina kid already on Brooklyn's team, Nick Claxton. So shout out to those South Carolina boys out there. Then at number 35, Julian Phillips. He was from Blythewood, went to Blythewood High School, transferred to Link Academy, played at Tennessee 1 year, had an outstanding freshman season at Tennessee, showed up that he could stand up against the guys in the SEC, and was drafted 35 to Boston, and then was traded to Chicago. But I saw Julian. I watched him play basically since his 9th grade year, and I just saw the upside was just so shout out to Julian, man, and Savage Academy. I don't know, that's one of his products. They put a lot of work in over the years, man, and I love to see the local cats doing well, man, from right around the corner. So shout out to Julian. Then at number 45, the Memphis Grizzlies selected Gregory Gigi Jackson. Very close with that young man. Coached him in high school at Ridgeview. Gigi, as he was known, originally committed. He was supposed to be a 2023 commit to UNC. However, he was allowed to reclass to 2022. Had enough credits to graduate high school because he took care of his business in the classroom first and foremost. He was the number 1 prospect, the number 1 number 1 ranked player in 2023 last year, going into which would have been his senior year. Again, as a junior, he had enough credits to graduate, reclass to 2022, enrolled at University of South Carolina, which we call USC. I'll take a second out real quick. And my South Carolina fans and family, please don't get mad at me, but I got to keep it a buck. I already told you I'm leaning neither left nor right, trying to walk it straight down the middle to help you solve this riddle called life. So when I say that, anybody outside of North and South Carolina does not call University of South Carolina USC. They call it South Carolina. Listen, I'm telling you guys, you know, I'm from New York. When I moved down here to go to college, and I was going to school with guys who said, yeah, my friend, he goes to USC. I need to go to USC. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. All these kids from the South are going way out to California to go to school. They talk about USC. I'm thinking like 95% of the country is thinking. When you hear USC, you think about University of Southern California out there in Los Angeles. You don't think about University of South Carolina. But when I reference USC in my podcast, on my show, I'm going to be talking about University of South Carolina because I live here in Columbia and I don't want to get jumped. So that's just what it is. But Gigi ended up enrolling at USC last year, had a pretty good freshman season. The thing is, when you come in as a number 1 ranked player, the expectations are super high out the window. We just talked about that with Wemby being the number 1 pick. So, I mean, you average 15 points as a true freshman. Really, at 17 years old playing in the SEC against grown men, most people would consider that a phenomenal freshman season. However, you have detractors everywhere, especially when you're doing something good. Kids, parents, teenagers, whoever. If you don't have anybody talking bad against you, you're not doing anything good. I know that sounds crazy, and it is crazy, but it's true. People only talk bad about you when you give them something to talk bad about.
Nine. Hey, it's too easy.
It's what it is, man. Gigi, I hope you do well, bro. I know you're going to do well because I know how hard you work. I've seen your grind since you got to Ridgeview as a freshman and the work you put in, and people don't understand it was not an easy climb, man. And, bro, from all the plane rides we took, the tournaments and bus trips and everything, I know you're going to make it. Just to hear his name get called, whether it's second round or not, there was a team out there that wanted him and wanted all these young men who went the second round. You only get 2 rounds of the draft, so that means the team really wanted you. And I know you're going to do well in Memphis, bro. And he's there with Ja Morant, another South Carolina boy. Shout out South Carolina linking up. Because of you, GG, got this. It's that state championship ring. So, shout out. Last couple I want to shout out. Number 54, Sacramento picked the kid Jalen Slauson from Charleston. He went to Pinewood Prep and then went to Furman, went to play college ball at Furman, who had a very good run in the tournament. Shout out to Jalen. Some of the kids that I know in my AAU program played with him at Furman, and they know him. Say he's a good kid. He's from SC, so I'm rooting for you, bro. In Sacramento, do your thing out there. And last but certainly not least, free agent. As soon as the draft was over, they couldn't wait to pick this kid up. Everybody was surprised he didn't get drafted. Jay Gortman went to Keena High School, played at OTE. Phenomenal guard, man. Very, very electric. Milwaukee picked him up. I can see him. I mean, he's basically like a young Drew Holiday, like for real. Both sides of the ball, man. He's going to dig down, give the other point guard nightmares defensively, and then offense, he can create his own shot. He's bouncy as I don't know what. He can catch and shoot. He's the total package, man. Seeing Jay Gortman, shout out to them, man, and everything that they've accomplished too, man, because they took a non-traditional route and it's paying off, man. And I just love to see it. So South Carolina is in the building. I love to see all these guys, man, just fulfilling their dreams and making it to the league. But just because you made it, you got to stick in it. You got to keep going. You got to put in the work and make sure that you stay in rotation and you can carve a career out of this thing. Provide that generational wealth that we always strive for. All right, so we'll be right back for the next segment after this. All right, again, that is B-Rhans of Suey Productions with the beat. Back when I used to be a rapper in my former life, we did a lot of work together. Very talented brother from the Lower East Side of New York. He would say Manhattan, but LES. Shout out B-Rhans, my brother. All right, let's go ahead. And I talked about the boom bap era a little bit in the last segment. You could consider that a segue into this particular segment. Here we're going to talk about the Billboard Top 50 rap groups that just came out last week. I was actually in Atlanta this past weekend with the CEO of the Konnected, Kevin Glover. Shout out to him. He is the manager for EPMD. And EPMD was in Atlanta for a show. I went out to where they were at, and he said, "Did you hear about this list?" I said, "No, I didn't hear about it." He told me about it. We looked it up. We laughed at it. It was crazy. I know EPMD, they personally felt, they felt a little bit disrespected by it. But again, this is an intersection of everything. Sports, special interests, and social commentary. I told you it's not just a sports show. I'm a big music fan. If you ever came to any of my classes, well, you probably haven't, but my students know I play music every single day in my classroom. You walk in, it's music. You leave, it's music. While they're doing things, I play instrumentals in the background. So the music is a big part of my life. I made music. I recorded music for a very long time. You can go look it up. We're not here to talk about that, but it's out there if you're interested. So let's go ahead and talk about this list. First thing I want to do, and this is credit to Billboard. Shout out, this is Billboard.com. Have to give them the credit for the sourcing. This is their top 50 list, and I'm going to read it, and I'm going to start from the bottom and go to the top. Okay, so bear with me while I look at my screen, and I'm going to read the list and just offer a little quick commentary on each. 50, MOP, too low. 49, Black Star, that's Most Def and Talib Kweli, too low. 48, City Girls, why are they on here? 47, Ray you know, drummer's ear, backwards, whatever. They all right, maybe. Yang Yang Twins, 46. Pete Rock and CL Smooth, 45. That is a travesty to hip-hop. That's ridiculous. 44, Crisscross. They were trend-setting. I was young. They were dope. I get it. We'll get into my criteria in a second. Crisscross, I don't know. 43, Kid and Play, probably too low. 42, Heavy D and the Boys, definitely too low. 41, Little Brother. If you don't know, that's Big Pooh, Fonte, Ninth Wonder. Oh, I saw Ninth Wonder yesterday in Augusta at the EYBL Peach Jam, too. Shouted him out. Nice, he turned around. Little Brother, I personally like Little Brother. They might be ranked appropriately. 40, Onyx, no way. 39, Slum Village, maybe should be lower. 38, Big Timers, no way. Big Timers should be higher. I wasn't a big fan of their music, but come on, this is the Big Timers, man. It's Wayne and them. That's when they was young, little boys, and they got to be higher than that. 37, 8 Ball and MJG, probably too low. 36, Hieroglyphics. If you don't know, that's a West Coast group, from old school group. Probably too high. 35, Far Side, another West Coast group. Probably where they should be. 34, Brand Nubian. Way too low. Way too low. Maybe that's my East Coast bias. Grand Puba, Sadade. I mean, you can't. But they impact on hip-hop. 33, Goody Mob. Too low. The way that they brought up the South. No, that's too low. 32, Two Live Crew. 31, Boogie Down Productions. Way too low. 30, The Clips. That's about right. 29, Gangstar. Gangstars, Primo, and Guru. Too low. 28, Ghetto Boys. Way too low. 27, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, way too low. 26, EPMD, way too low. 25, Hot Boys, that's about right. 24, The Diplomats, that's about right. 23, Sugar Hill Gang, way too low. 23, The Locks, way too low. 21, Bone Thugs and Harmony, that's about right. 20, UGK, that's about right. 19, G-Unit, probably too high. So that you see, I'm not East Coast biased. G-Unit, 50, Yayo, Banks, that's probably too high for them at 19. 18, 3-6 Mafia. 17, Cypress Hill. 16, Beastie Boys. 15, Naughty by Nature. Maybe a little too high for Naughty. 14, Fugees. Kinda. 13, Mobb Deep. I probably would put Fugees over Mobb Deep, even though I love Mobb Deep more. Fugees just, I don't know. Fugees was 12, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. That's insane. They were probably the first real hip-hop group ever. I'm not sure how you can put them at 12. 11, Migos. Are you kidding? Like, who wrote this list? Stop playing. 11, Amigos? Stop. 10, The Roots. 9, De La Soul. 8, Salt and Pepper. 7, Eric B. and Rakim. 6, Public Enemy. 5, Run DMC. 4, Tribe Called Quest. 3, NWA. 2, Wu-Tang Clan. And number 1, Outkast. That's where people have probably the biggest problem with it. Not saying Outkast isn't a goated group. They top 5 group, certainly. Top 7, 8 maybe. But number 1, you put them over the Wu. All right, here's what I think the qualifications. When I'm thinking about top 50, we said top 50. Again, this is all very subjective. It's about how you feel, what you like, what you listen to, what you're influenced by, what's your culture, what was your upbringing, your background, all of that stuff, right? That depends on what kind of music you like. I just think that if you want to come up with lists and things like that, you have to have some kind of objective criteria for all these groups to stand on. And then you weigh them and you measure them accordingly against each other. And you see where it all shakes out. And you can look at it objectively. I think that it should be the impact that they had on the genre. it should be about the longevity that they had as a group. You can't give me a group that only have 4 or 5 good years together versus another group like the Wu-Tang who've been doing this for 30 years. Like, it's not, I just have a hard time seeing past that 30 years as a group. Sure, they broke up for a while, but, and then you also think about like their hits. Like, do they have hits? Do their hits bang out? Hits are obviously important. When I'm talking about impact, I think about a group like the Wu-Tang Clan. They had the TV show, they had the cartoon, they're all in movies. Method Man is an accredited actor now. You have, they had the Wu Wear, the clothing line. They have stores all around the world, Wu Wear stores. I just think of things like that as having impact. Oh, here it is, my top 5. I know you're saying, Coach, you're saying all this up and down, yay, nay. Who's your top 5? Here's my top 5. My top 5, and I bet it's better than your top 5. My top 5 is the Wu. Obviously, I'm going on and on and on about the Wu-Tang Clan. Come on, man. RZA, Jizza, Raekwon, Ghost, Meth, ODB, rest in peace. You already know the characters, man, but the Wu-Tang is my number 1. NWA, number 2, Ice Cube, Easy, Yella, Ren. I mean, that's legends. They didn't have the longevity, but their impact on the game and how they were the trendsetters and doing things. And it was like they were getting arrested just performing hip-hop back then. Y'all don't understand. People of a certain age don't know how crazy it was back then. Then I go Outkast, number 3. Absolutely. Outkast turned it up for the South, and their longevity, the number of hits, and the classes they put out are amazing. Then I'm going to go Ghetto Boys, number 4. Scarface, Willie D. Bushwick. I mean, again, they put it on for the South in a different way, for the West kind of in Houston, and they legends in their own right. And then 5th, Tribe Called Quest. So again, Wu-Tang, NWA, Outkast, Ghetto Boys, Tribe Called Quest. That's my top 5. Way better than Billboard's, way better than yours. But if you think you have a better one, hit me at kkOnKTV@gmail.com. Oh yeah, we're back. You know you're getting old when you have to say something every time you take a sip of something. Oh yeah, that's it right there, Jack. That old man talk. You take a sip. Oh yeah, somebody asked me, say, Coach, what you sipping on in that cup? I said, man, just good old fashioned H2O, my brother. It's nothing like that high quality H2O. If you're a Waterboy fan, you get it. Adam Sandler, man, one of the crazy dudes. Now, when I get a beverage sponsor, I'll be happy to share what I'm drinking and set the can right here prominently and all of that. But we don't have any of those just yet. But they're coming. They're coming. Y'all just keep tuning in, keep sharing the footage, and it's going to grow and expand, man. And it's because of you. Thank you very much. All right, this next topic is something quite serious, but it needs to be talked about. Again, the Coach's Corner, this is your intersection of special interests, sports, and social commentary. We're going to talk about that affirmative action ruling that just came down from the Supreme Court. I know, Coach, this is a pretty heavy topic. I understand that, but we have to dedicate a few minutes to that. I wouldn't be a socially responsible mentor if I didn't give you at least some of the basics on that. First of all, let's talk about affirmative action. What is it? Well, it was signed by then President John F. Kennedy in 1961, and it actually came through as just part of an executive order saying that employers should take affirmative action when considering applicants of a certain background and ethnicity and things like that, because this is just back in the 1960s. We like to, and when I say we, I'm speaking in generalities. We as a society like to act like Jim Crow and outward discrimination and bias as a standard was a million years ago. We're talking, this is 1961. Man, my mom, rest in peace, she was born in 1958. It's not that long ago. Like 1961, there are still plenty of people walking the face of this earth that were born in 1961. It's not that long ago, y'all, when it was actually okay it was considered acceptable, it was considered a standard, it was considered just business as usual to look at or to have someone in for an interview, for instance, for a college interview, and you see that they're black and you just automatically dismiss them, or you see that they're Asian and you automatically dismiss them, or you see that they're of Latin descent and you just automatically dismiss them. Those things were okay and it was acceptable, and there was nobody that was checking them for it. JFK put this thing in place and said, no, you can't do that anymore. Like, now you have to, I hate to use that term quota, because then it makes it feel like somebody's doing you a favor, or like you're getting put in positions you don't deserve because they're trying to make numbers look good on paper. Well, without this quota, though, we wouldn't have had an opportunity to get into the door in the first place. Okay, so there's that catch-22 again. You hate to say, well, you're part of a quota system. They have to have this many blacks. They have to have this many males. They have to have this many black males. And they're trying to fill these numbers up so they can keep funding and they don't get in trouble with all these different agencies. I understand all of that. But without those things in place, we would have never gotten a shot. And a lot of times when we got into the door and we were given that opportunity, we showed and we proved and we stood up against our white counterparts and we performed and excelled. So it's just a matter of opportunity, y'all. Like, that's what affirmative action is for me. And the ruling, I know I skipped ahead a little bit into it. Hopefully you've heard about it by now. I got this from CNN.com. I read that every single day. But the full story is on CNN if you want to check it out. I'm just giving you the 100-foot overview of it, the highlights, if you will. But the ruling basically said that affirmative action is now null and void. They said it is outdated, there's no more use for it, and that, I hate to use this term, but reverse discrimination is actually taking place with affirmative action, because you have these institutions, because you have these companies, they need to fill these quotas for minorities, and I'm including women in this too, because they treated women like second and third class citizens as well. Didn't matter what color the woman was, she was a woman, so they treated her the same way. That's why Title IX came about in sports, and equality and gender equality in sports and things like that. Again, if there wasn't a problem, we wouldn't have had to legislate these rules and these laws in place. And I think that's the part that kind of gets overlooked, unfortunately. But it is what it is. And the thing of it is, we allowed it to happen as a people, not just black people, as a people, as a voting people. Trump was able to get his people in place on the Supreme Court. So now it's a heavily conservative court, and a lot of the things that will benefit folks who aren't conservatives are going to be overturned and abolished, and it's going to be crazy until we can get control back at the Supreme Court. That's why voting is super important. You have to vote for these judges. You have to get the right judges in place. You have to get the right lawmakers in place. Sure, presidential, mayoral, I hate saying that word. Presidential, mayoral, and gubernatorial races are important. Obviously, those are the ones that you kind of see and touch, and they're the more prominent ones, right? The mayor of your city, the governor of your state, the president of your country. Those are the three probably regions we associate ourselves with the most, right? City, state, and country. However, your congressmen are putting laws in place. Your state senators are putting laws in place. Your judges are upholding laws, or in some cases overturning laws. So all of these elections are super duper important, and we need to make sure, if you're 18, please get registered to vote. It's super easy. It takes like 2 minutes. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make sure we go out and vote in all these midterm elections, and we have to get the people in place that are going to support our interests and not here to destroy us. So boo on the affirmative action ruling, and that just means we have to work even harder than we were working before to make sure we're getting our foot in that door. All right, we'll be right back. And we're back. We're back. Another segment that I'm adding to the program is a dope one. I did it unintentionally last episode, in episode 1, where I talked about LeBron and this I Promise program building that apartment complex in Akron, Ohio. And I said that what I want to do is make sure that we are giving flowers, that we're saluting, that we're giving props to, and we're patting on the back a lot of these sports figures who are doing this work in a community that they don't talk about. Like, they'll be quick to talk about a guy who gets a DUI or has a side baby, or who's out here acting the fool, shacking the fool out here. Don't sue me for copyright infringement, Shaq. Who's out here acting up. They'll put that out there quickly. But the guys that are doing the real work and making a difference in the community, not so loudly do they speak on their actions. I will. I'm going to get a megaphone, and I'm going to shout it out loud as I can. So today's sports hero spotlight is going to be none other than Mr. Florida State Warrick Dunn. Warrick Dunn, oh my gosh, if you're not a certain age, you don't know who Warrick Dunn is. When I was growing up, Warrick Dunn was that guy. I was a huge Barry Sanders fan. As you can see, I have a Barry Sanders mouse pad here. I have his jersey. It was hanging up last time. I'm probably going to try to hang a different jersey every different episode, see if you catch that. I shouldn't even told you. Just did it and see if you peeped it. Anyway, Warrick Dunn was the closest thing that reminded people to Barry Sanders. He played at Florida State. He was a phenomenal running back, drafted by the Tampa Bay Bucks. But we're not here to talk about his football accolades. You can Wikipedia that. I want to talk about Mr. Dunn and his foundation. A little bit about Warrick. His mom was a police officer. He grew up in New Orleans. She was killed in the line of duty in 1993. He was only 18, still in high school. He was a big-time recruit, trying to figure out which school to go to. He had brothers and sisters that were younger than him, and he used his mom's life insurance money to buy a house to provide for his brothers and sisters. While he went away to school at Florida State, he had family members help raise the kids, but he obviously did a lot of the raising on his own, just as a young man trying to figure it out himself. Again, he was drafted number 12 by the Buccaneers in 97. They were a terrible team back then, but Warrick Dunn was a great player. Ended up playing his career with the Atlanta Falcons, and he was such a good guy, such an astute businessman, such a well-respected member of the community. He became part of the Falcons ownership group with Arthur Blank in 2010. Arthur Blank respected the man that much that he he obviously spent his money. He purchased a stake of the ownership group. But owners don't just like to give out chunks of their organizations to just anybody. So that shows you who this is. But what Warrick Dunn did in his rookie year was start a foundation to help single mothers own homes, become homeowners. He gives them money for down payment assistance, helps them build homes, get the financing. And I mean, that's just an outstanding program. And since its inception, they built 169 homes, put up over $800,000 in down payment assistance, and placed 457 parents and children in homes. This is courtesy of his website, WDC.org, the Warrick Dunn Charities Foundation page. To you, Mr. Warrick Dunn, let me just say this. No, for real. All seriousness. That's incredible, man. 169 homes, 457 parents and children. You know how many families that this man has affected in a positive way? I mean, he's been that blessing. A lot of times when people pray for a blessing, they don't know where it's coming from. He's been that blessing to provide and shine his light for other people because of what happened to his mom. Now, that could have turned him a lot of different ways. That could have turned him away from sports. Instead, he used sports to provide for not only himself and his family, but for countless other families all over, man. And we just need to continue to spotlight brothers like this. And I'm going to make sure I spotlight one of these men or women in every single episode that I do for as long as this show is on the Konnected TV app, on your Fire TV and Roku, and it's also on your YouTube. But as long as we're doing the Coach's Corner on Konnected TV, we're going to have a sports hero spotlight. And for episode 2, it was Mr. Seminole, Mr. Build a Home for a Single Mother, Warrick Dunn. Salute, my brother. sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are at war. We are at war with our own minds. We are at war with society trying to keep us blind. Haha, a little freestyle off the dome for you. I told you I used to rap, man. I still got a little something under my cap. It's not as much hair as it used to be anymore, but all right. So we're gonna go ahead and introduce another new segment into the program this week. We're gonna spend about 8 minutes on this topic, and it's gonna be viewer's choice. Viewer's choice, Coach. What's that? It's just as it sounds. You choose what I'm gonna talk about for this segment. Probably again, spend about 7-8 minutes. We'll see how the flow of it goes. I opened this up. I had the question box on my IG story. You should be following me already, Coach Terry 803. I had the question box up, and I allowed you to put in whatever you wanted to. Here's the crazy thing, though, about social media, particularly IG stories. I get a lot of views on my stories. I'm not one, no cap. I do not check my numbers. I don't check how many stories, shares, and views, and repost. I'm not concerned with that, because what I put out there is what I put out there. I'm not really concerned about how it's consumed or who's consuming it. I put it out there because I want it out there for whatever reason. I'm proud of an accomplishment I did, or somebody else did, or something like that. I'm trying to promote my business. Whatever I'm doing, I'm not concerned about the numbers of it. So when I genuinely say I do not ever check the analytics or anything like that. However, I had to for this one because I wanted to see what the engagement was like and see how many responses I got back. And I got back maybe 15 responses, and I had over 700 people view the story. Come on, y'all. Stop being weird. Stop being weird. If somebody has something on their story for you to interact with, why would you skip it? It takes you the same amount of energy to just click the little poll that they have or drop a question or something like that, instead of skipping the story and moving on. I don't know. To me, that's just weird. I do. Sometimes, well, there are certain times where I may skip. It just depends. If it's one of those childish things like, give me a number, and I'll tell you, I don't do those. But for the most part, I will interact and, play along with it. So stop being weird. You see something on somebody's story, interact with it and get with it. All right. Now, what you can do for future segments, future episodes of Viewer's Choice on Coach's Corner on Konnected TV, you can go send me an email at the email I told you about, kkontv@gmail.com, kkontv@gmail.com. Send me some there. I'll also open the box back up on my IG story, and you can also post comments on the YouTube page, what you want to hear me talk about. And if it's good enough, I will see if it makes the cut and put it in. Now, let's talk about what did make the cut for this episode. For this first question, comes from a young man who submitted on IG. Shout out to @TheyLoveDrew. Make sure you go give him a follow. He wants to know about the life of a football coach and how the business works. Well, Drew, that is a very complex topic, and it's going to take me way more than 8 minutes to talk about it. I'll give you kind of a quick synopsis, though. The coaching business is all about connections. You have to make connections. I moved here. I didn't know anybody, and nobody in that world, in that realm. And I built my connections up just from, just being a solid individual, doing good work on the field, treating these kids right. And the rest kind of took care of itself. Again, I always feel like if you treat people right, if you do the right thing, then good things will happen to you. And that's all. I started coaching Pop Warner, and, that took me to middle school, and the middle school took me to high school on the B team and JV level, and then to a varsity level. But again, just being, intertwined with the right individuals who afforded me opportunities as well. So in coaching, that's how the business works, man. You have to make good connections. You have to be on the right staffs too, because you don't want to be on the staff of a guy who is bad at his job and he's getting fired, because then all of you are going to get fired. But Drew, that's a really good topic, and I think I may actually make that into a full-blown segment on a later episode. So thank you for your contribution to this episode. This next choice or next topic comes from another young man. Shout out K3 Ethan. I think it's a dot in there somewhere when I post it. Right here, I put it right here. I'll make sure that I list your full IG name so you can get some credit, maybe some followers. He wants to know about toxicity inside locker rooms and how it affects success. Well, it's going to affect success in a very negative way, Ethan. Toxicity is something that unfortunately you can't ever fully rid a team of that because there's going to be toxic people in this world. And you have to figure on a football team, a high school football team, there are about 100 kids. And surely some of those kids are going to be toxic, and they're going to bring their toxic traits to the team. What you have to do in order to achieve the success, that one goal, that one dream, one heart, one mind we all talk about as a team, is that you have to make sure that there are enough strong leaders, there's enough positivity to override the BS. You feel me? Because there's nothing you can do. There are going to be toxic people you work with. There might be toxic people you live with. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that. All you have to do, I always tell people this. I tell this to anybody who will listen to me. You cannot control anybody else or any other situation in this world. The only thing you can control is how you respond to it. That's it. That's the only thing in this world you can ever control, is how you respond to situations. I can't, even with my own son, I can't control what he does. I can only control my reaction to it. My students, my players, same thing. All right, so hopefully that'll kind of help you answer that question right there, Ethan. And the last question or discussion point comes from Miss T. Smith Hughes. I'm not going to say your first name out of respect, but the mother of a player that I actually never coach, but I do PA work too, and I work with Wright's Next Level Showcases. Shout out to Coach Wright. And this young man participated in a lot of our showcases. Very skilled basketball player. I always like seeing him perform. But this is his mom, and she wanted me to talk about high school coaches not developing all players, just a few. This one sounded very personal, Miss Smith Hughes, and this is actually going to be a full-blown segment coming up soon, because I had quite a few people. I'm giving you the credit for this one, but I had quite a few athletes as well reach out and want me to talk about the same thing. I will definitely make sure that gets addressed. I have seen it personally. I've had friends whose sons have been a victim of it. I've had friends whose sons have benefited from it. It's boy, that just this topic and the one that Drew talked about, life of a coach and how the business work. I believe that those two are pretty much intertwined, because a lot of times that there are things that go on behind the scenes that parents and even all players aren't privy to. Even all members of a coaching staff aren't privy to. And there's some things that come from higher places. In some instances, there are a lot of, we talked about connections, right? You have that buddy ball going on a lot of time. And again, I'm from Buffalo. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I wear it proudly. All right, I've been living in Columbia for 11 years now. I lived in Charlotte for 12 years before that. So I'm half South, half North. But again, I always say, like, I don't have the same connections a lot of these dudes have, to where they can say, oh, that's my teammate from high school, so he can put me on and he gonna get me a here and here. Or, you know, we grew up together. We played ball together. I don't have those natural connections like a lot of these cats have. And I had to really build my way up from the mud, just starting off walking into the rec center in my neighborhood. Like, yo, I heard y'all was looking for some volunteer coaches. Like, that's how I got started here in Columbia in 2013, coaching for the North Spring Steelers, man, Pop Warner. So I will definitely touch on both of those very important topics in depth, though I just don't feel like giving them 2-3 minutes here during Viewer's Choice of doing it right. But I wanted to acknowledge you for participating and for being a part of the show this week. So I thank you very much. Again, if you want to get in the Viewer's Choice segment, I'll probably pick about 3 to 4, depending on the number of responses that I get. Drop a comment on the YouTube. Email kkontv@gmail.com, or check out my story. I'll be posting the question box up very soon. All right, let's get into it. The game is almost over, y'all. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Come on, keep it going. Woo! All right. This is episode number 2, dos, deux, of the Coach's Corner on Konnected TV. Somebody pointed it out. They said, Coach, that's KKK. I said, yes, it is. Very good. You can read. Shout out to your ELA teacher. But no, I know, I realize that it's KKK, but this is KKK and a good thing. And to be honest, the KKK, as we know, it didn't start out to be the organization that it is now. You can do your history if you so inclined. I'm not here to advocate for them. I'm not going to give you background on any of that foolishness, but I will just say that it started out to be some kind of social club and not turn into the racist, cross-burning, Negro hanging from trees organization, hood-wearing cowards that they are. All right, this is the good KKK. Just think about KK on K. Now that sounds like it's on crack, but I'm bugging out, y'all. Bugging out. But it's been a good episode. I hope you've enjoyed the ride with me. Again, we changed up the format. We added some things in here. We're going to make sure that we keeping it fresh and crispy and funky for y'all each and every week. This is your intersection of sports, social commentary, and social interests. I pause for the dramatic effect, just so you can say, get to your edge, you see what's he going to say next, what he going to say next. But this is the Coach's Corner of Konnected TV, your intersection of sports, social commentary, and everything else in between. I'm leaning neither left nor right, trying to walk it straight down the middle to help you solve this riddle called life. Make sure, again, I'm going to say it until I can't say it anymore, until all of you have installed that Konnected TV app on the Fire TV remote, the Roku. Make sure you add it, Konnected TV. Make sure you subscribe to the Konnected TV YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the Coach Terry 803 YouTube. You can check out the shows. You can share it with your friends on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That would be so dope if you could do that for me. It costs you nothing to share. It really doesn't. If you see me tweet it, it costs you nothing to retweet. It costs you nothing to share my posts in your story, to reshare it, to get the viewership up. This is for y'all, man. I don't just do this and talk in front of the camera for no reason. Although sometimes I do feel like I'm living in the Truman Show. But I'm actually not. So I do this for y'all, for the people, man. I have a lot of thoughts, interesting ideas, and opinions that I like to share with you. Make sure, above all else, you're staying connected. I told you it's a lot of things under the umbrella. This is another example of the Konnected magazine, man. This beautiful, beautiful publication, man. Look at those pages. This is outstanding quality. This is quality materials right here. If you're an artist, you can get featured on artists. We talked about the Konnected tour coming up. Oh, y'all have a tour too, Coach? Yeah, we have a tour. Yeah, one of the dope artists come out. The Carolinas doing this thing forever, man. Shout out my dog Luckbone, man. He from, I believe, Mullen, South Carolina. I met him in Charlotte, man. We used to rock out, do a lot of shows together. We was on our grind together. He still got it going doing this thing, man. Shout out to Luckbone. Shout out to the Konnected magazine. Everything under the umbrella. Konnected TV, Konnected Radio, Konnected the comedy, Konnected magazine, Konnected clothing. What am I leaving out? I'm pretty sure I'm leaving out something because there's a lot of stuff going on. And the Queen City Awards is under the umbrella of the Konnected Foundation as well. Queen City Awards, the biggest award show, 17th year, longest running in the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a huge event, red carpet every year. Celebs come out. You never know who you're going to see there, man. It's always a movie. Again, this is episode 2. We'll be back for episode 3. Probably drop that before the end of July. Again, if you want to send me anything for me to shout you out on the show, please do so at kkonkTV@gmail.com. Shirts. This is the official clothing line. My guy G-Sen from Buffalo, official New York. See, it say 716 on the bottom, but he does more than Buffalo gear. I promise you that. 716 on the sleeve. He got, like I said, he got hoodies, he got t-shirts, he got female wear, he got hats. He got everything you need, man. Dope. Shout out to you. Keep doing your thing, my brother. Much love. Beat by B-Rhans of Suey Productions. Cat been doing this thing forever, man. Keep rocking out, B-Rhans. Make sure you stay connected. Make sure you follow me on social media. You follow me, I'm going to follow you back. You sub us back. You sub us, we sub you back. That's how it goes. One hand wash the other. You can't wash one hand by itself, right? One hand got to wash the other. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. You dig? That's how it goes. All right, so once again, this is Coach Terry, 803, signing off from the Metro. Salute to all of y'all watching, man. Everybody who's going to share this program. Everybody who's going to become a fan and stick with me through the long haul. Let's build this thing up, man. Let's keep growing better and better. Stay connected. Peace.